Hi, my name is Brandon Smith. I'm the Chief Development Officer at Grid Metals Corp. We're a lithium development story in Manitoba, Canada. And the differentiator for us is we have 2 million options within trucking distance of our deposit.
Brandon, good to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
You're relatively new to the team, right? When did you join?
Yeah, I am. I joined in May of this year.
Right, okay. And where from?
So I worked at Corp Securities as a lead analyst covering battery metal developers for equity research.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. And what made you jump ship and come into this vehicle?
Yeah, so at Cormark, I had met a number of companies, and there's a bit, Grid's unique in a sense where we don't have to build a greenfield concentrator to get into production. We have a producing mine 35 kilometers away, and then another mill option, which we're going to reconfigure to produce spodumene. So we don't have to spend, $200-300 million to get into production. So it's a bit unique, and there's a pathway to actually get there in a pretty short period of time.
Right. So with your analyst hat on, that was a big deal for you. So clearly, money costs money, and it can be subterminal for the economics of some projects. So when you're looking at this, I mean, just get into the weeds a little bit more around the kind of what the typical costs are versus what you're looking at on. I think it's True North.
True North, right? Correct. Yeah.
Around 50 million market. What's the difference between a 300 million and 50 million cost?
Yeah. So 50 million Canadians, the capex there to reconfigure it.
Yeah.
That includes a 30% contingency as well. So it's reasonably conservative. And, that number from an equity dilution perspective versus $200-300 million, it makes a big difference when you're going to finance that. In Canada as well, you can get a lot of government funding. So we're going to look to leverage all of that. But our goal is get into production and do it in the most shareholder-friendly manner.
Right, okay. And just remind the audience, and there's new people as well listening in here, Trina, do you own that outright at the moment? And it's just a kind of a refurb job?
So currently we're leasing it. It's a 7-year lease. And we have to refurbish it. Like you mentioned, it was a gold mill. It does have a flotation circuit. So for listeners out there, for spodumene, you can either do DMS or flotation. Our stuff's more amenable to flotation. So it's a bit fortuitous. It's very close, and you can use the bones of the mill. You have to add a few things for spodumene concentrate, but the bones are there. And so it's a really unique opportunity for us.
Right. What happens at the end of the 7-year lease period?
So at the end of the 7 years, we can mutually extend it. But before we reach final investment decision, our goal would be to potentially look to lock that in longer or do something about it to make sure we have it for longer than the 7 years.
Right. Okay. So that's one option. The second is of toll milling, which. Yep. Have you got any agreements in place there in terms of understanding the economics?
Yeah, so at Tanco, which most people don't know, it's one of 2 lithium producers in Canada. Sayona is North American, Lithium's the other. But yeah, they're 35 kilometers south of us. And for that agreement, it's a 50-50 profit share. We have an MOU in place, a memorandum of understanding. So we're still in discussions to figure that out. But with the 50-50 profit share, the economics are a lot better at True North. So that's our focus, but we're still in active discussion with Tanco to figure out if we can do something there.
Right, and would that be a case of going early with the Tanco stuff just to kind of get some revenue flowing, or would you wait till the refurb is done at True North?
Yeah, so that's one of the options we're considering if we can leverage Tanco before True North is up and running. The timeline of production or the timelines to get permits in Manitoba are super expedited versus other provinces.
Yeah,
and there is a precedent in the province for kind of what we're doing. So, depending on when we get the mining permit, Tanco might be a viable option slightly before True North. So We're weighing all the options right now, but that's kind of how we're thinking about it.
Okay, so that'll be interesting to see when you weigh up the options where you go. But great optionality for sure, and that's very unusual.
Yeah.
Because we're seeing a lot of lithium stories come through the door, right? A lot. Guys, a bit like yourself, you've moved from, different commodities into lithium, and we're seeing, gold, nickel guys become lithium. It's of the moment. Lithium pegmatites, great phrase. Yeah. But you've got to understand, or it's for the companies incumbent on the company to help people understand, will this thing ever become a viable economic resource which you can then get into production, or is it just a story for here and now?
Yeah.
A momentum play. I mean, you seeing a lot of that?
Yeah, no, 100%. It's, the last couple of months have been pretty rough for all markets, unless you're in uranium. But yeah, a lot of people have moved into lithium. The differentiator for us is those brownfield processing options. And we do have a 43-101 resource, close to 7 million tons at 1.39%. So, very good grade. And we don't need 20 million tons to have a viable project because we do have those processing options. If you're kind of in the middle of nowhere, I would say you need at least 20 million tons at 1% for it to be potentially viable. But our hurdle rate is a lot lower.
Yeah, for sure. And I was going to talk to you about that. The grades are good, right? You've got good grades. And compared to every other kind of story that's going to come through, good grades. The scale of this thing, I get the economics with the mill options and so forth. 6 million, it was nearly 7 million is economic and viable. But do you think that in terms of scaling this thing up and showing the potential of this thing, is that important now in a market where money is expensive and tight? And quite frankly, in a meaningful way, not a lot of people care right now. You see the equities are being crushed, right?
Yeah.
Or do you wait, or do you get on with it and prove that scale? What's important for you're a former analyst, right? So if you're looking in at this thing, what's the important things to spend your money and time on?
Yeah, so for us now, it's just to prove to the market we can get into production fast. Like our goal is 2025, and how we get there is. The goal is the end of Q1 next year to have a PEA out.
Yep.
We have the milling side with the True North mill. That scoping study is PEA level accuracy.
Yep.
Got to do the mine plan, and then you marry them together. So I have a PEA to kind of show the market what we're talking about here. Right now, it's hard for people to probably understand what the economics are of what we're doing, but we think they're going to look very robust. And then post, we do want to show the market there is more than the 7 million tons on our project.
Right.
At depth. It's actually the main dike, which is one of the 2 dikes that make up the deposit. It's actually getting thicker and better grade at depth. So, we hope to put a few holes deep this winter just to prove this thing keeps going. So it's not going to have an 8-year mine life. It's going to be 10, 12 plus. I think both parts are important, but like you said, right now it's tough because no one really cares unless you're hitting 100-meter intercepts of 1% plus. No one seems to really care about anything. But that at some point, you can have viable projects with significantly less width, and the market hopefully realizes that at some point.
Okay, I think what kind of factor for me that'd be interesting in seeing is the lease extension negotiations. If you're keeping it at 7 years, I'm going to assume 7 years life of mine, right? If you negotiate much further out, then that's kind of indicative of what the potential of what you think you've got there. So that's one point. The flotation simplicity of it is also quite interesting. And then feeding on to, can you build off the back of a PEA? Some people have done it. I don't like it because it invariably falls over, but it works for some if there's the simplicity of the processing through the concentrate, and you've already got the infrastructure there, which has been working in the past, and it's just a refurb trip. So how do you feel about that? Again, with analyst hat on, how do you view?
Yeah, so this winter, we also plan to infill drill Donner to upgrade the resource to indicated. And so what we want to do is, PA by Q1 of next year, and then go right into fees level work.
Right,
we already have, we're using Primero Engineering. We have a sense of the cost to do that. If fees is done a year later, they think that's likely, on the mining side. It's a simple open pit to start, then you go underground. So, by early 2025, we have a fees done, and then you're making your final investment decision on the True North mill. In terms of actually getting permits for all this, it's pretty expedited to change that the mill from gold to spodumene. You have to do a notice of alteration, and effectively, pegmatites are super inert. So the stuff going into tailings is there's no nasties in it. So we don't think there should be any issues there. And on the mining permit side, there is a precedent in Manitoba. It was called the Reed Mine. It was owned by Hudbay and VMS. It went from maiden resource to receipt of mining permit in 2.5 years. So that timeline is unheard of in other provinces. So if you kind of put that timeline on our Donner Lake project, we're going to submit our mining permit mid next year. Kind of 9 months later in early 2025, we have a mining permit. So that's how we get to production in 2025.
Which again, as a key differentiator for you. Now, the interesting thing is you're a $20 million company. So some people are not getting this. I don't know if it's existing shareholders not recognizing that you've moved over to lithium, or the fact there's so many lithium stories out there and they all appear to be saying the same thing. It's hard to stand out. Again, I'm going to stick with this analyst hat on. Before you get completely embedded and you become, you're drinking the Kool-Aid stuff, it's like with your analyst hat on, if you're looking at these kind of key points of differentiation that you pointed out today, is that what's the most important one? Is it speed to production? Is that the real big thing here?
Yeah, I think it's speed to production and leveraging infrastructure. A lot of people for lithium, you're producing tons of output. So you're not producing doré bars, you're producing, it's a bulk commodity. So being close to infrastructure is actually super, super critical. And speed to market, in my view, is you have a market growing at 20, 30%. At some points, there's going to be supply-demand dislocation. So, right now, we're obviously seeing supply a bit ahead of demand, and price is taking a big hit in the past year. But you could easily go the other way if things are delayed coming online. You can get crazy price spikes in a market growing that fast from a small base. So if you are in production, then you can capitalize on, extremely good economics for however short they are. But you can run the numbers on, we've put out 75,000 tonne a year of production from True North, and you add a couple $1,000s per ton to the spodumene price, which is where it was 6 months ago, and do that on 75,000 tons. It's a big number.
Yeah, it's a big number. And obviously last year was sort of huge spikes.
Yeah,
just
crazy.
Like crazy numbers,
yeah, it was
right?
Too high. Yeah,
it's way too high. I mean, where would you agree? If it settled around 4 or 5, we're in a good place, right? People, you're making money at that level, and more importantly, as a business, as I say, I think we're talking just before the camera started rolling. I kind of like, I'm a bit old school. I like companies that make cash. Those ones work for me. The potential of cash is not enough.
Yeah,
cash is better. So
yeah.
So coming back to that, being able to take advantage of a more steady, accretive, growing lithium market into that demand is important. The Canadian government, really, really good at the moment in terms of offering tax credits, incentives, and even funding in places.
Yeah.
Are you going to be able to take advantage of some of that either at the provincial or federal level? Yeah,
no, 100%. We've already started looking into that. So on the federal level, the 30% investment tax credit, we would qualify there. So, there's kind of 30% of your capex. The Strategic Innovation Fund, we've had preliminary discussions to discuss about the refurbishment of the True North mill. And, it looks like it could qualify. So there's some more potential money from the government. They do have some infrastructure programs, which we're looking into as well. So all in all, you could get a good chunk from the government. And then, you need a bit of equity. And if you have, like, say, a strategic in there with offtake or prepayment, you can do this and not, raise a massive amount of shares to actually get into production.
Okay. That's where I was going here. It's like, how do you finance this thing off a low base where you're at now, right? And I guess the story for me is much clearer. And it looks like this thing is pretty darn close. It's kind of primed. What do you think are the moments that shareholders or people looking into the story should be looking at over the next, say, 12, 18 months? Obviously, you talked about, FID and PEAs, et cetera. But if you laid that out, what does it look like?
Yeah, so I think this winter we want to drill Donner Lake where our resource is. So do some infill. Between the dikes, there's a kilometer gap, and there's potentials for parallel dikes in there. So, do a bit of exploration drilling there, put a few deeper holes in. And then Falcon West, which we haven't talked about, is our other lithium project, but it has a historical 250,000 ton resource of 1.7%. So obviously too small right now, but there's clearly lithium there and something going on. So with a maiden program, we want to figure out exactly what we have there. So I think, right now the market doesn't seem to care about drilling, but, that could move the needle a bit for the economics at Donner, or proving out that maybe we have something at Falcon. That's definitely trucking distance to Tanko as well. And then the next catalyst would be the PA in the end of Q1. So I think actually wrapping economics around what we have is important because no one else is really doing a reconfiguration. No one else is using a brownfield site. So to actually get that in the market's hand and show capex is low, but the economics, the NPV8 are still very robust, I think is definitely going to help. And then, so those are the two things I see that could move the needle in the next kind of 3 to 4 months.
Brilliant. Good, man. Good story. Good to meet you.
Cool. Nice to meet you.
Nice to see the company going through the phases now. It's nice.
Appreciate it. Cheers.